Good evening, everyone. I'm going to do a journey today into some people asking me to journey into Satan and to Lucifer to just see what the difference is. What is their same? Who is Satan? Who is Lucifer? It's one of these topics that is very controversial. And I think I'm just going to go right into the journey state and talk about more of my understanding afterwards. Instead of talking a lot about what my understanding is, I want to my guides, my higher self, the archangels, Jesus, the Creator, to guide me and help guide you to the true and the truth of what that statement means. So, what is the difference? Is there any difference? Why is it, and who are the roles? What are the roles? Who are they? And are they two separate beings? And just to see what comes up. So I'm going to close my eyes here. I instantly fall, like it's just inevitable. I just fall straight down. And I fall onto spikes and they go right through my body. And it's instant death. This is the very first thing I see. So what is death? Is it the end? Or is it the beginning? Then I see in front of me fire and brimstone. And it's a typical thing when a person dies, if they feel like they're going to go to hell. This is possibly what they might see. The feeling of falling, embedded on spikes, pull yourself off the spikes and realize that you're dead because you have no wounds. The spikes are there to show you that you're dead because you have no wounds from the spikes. Because if you're alive, obviously you would be dead. So it shows you that you're no longer alive. And it's the understanding of what it is that you think you should see. That's what they're saying to me. What is it that you think you should see? And I see like a hell space in front of me with lava and bodies and in the lava floating around, like screaming, yelling. But what happens if there was nothing at all, they said. Absolute silence and total darkness. And when you look in the ground, you see bodies encased in stone. Souls encased in stone. And when you touch the bodies, you feel the hell space inside their mind, inside their head, inside their bodies. But you're standing in a dark room and they're encased in stone. There is no hell space. There is no fire and brimstone. There's just darkness, emptiness, as far as you can see. Despair, though. So much despair. So much hopelessness. That it starts to devour you and you get pulled into the ground and you start to panic and you can feel the panic within yourselves as you get pulled into the ground And once you get so far, the stone becomes, it's like a liquid stone, and it enters your mouth, it enters your body, enters your organs, through every orifice of your body, and you slowly can't do anything. You turn into a statue, embedded in the floor, and horrifying expression on your face. You fall downwards into lava. You splash, and there's all these bodies that grab you and pull you down, pull on your arms, your legs, your head, and they pull you deeper down. You try your best to get back up out of the lava, but all you do is breathe in more lava. And you feel, like, you just feel your body burning, and you're being pulled down in, and just like, it's completely overwhelming. Then you find yourself floating in the stream of lava, hopeless. You finally wash up on shore because you're dead. You cannot be burned. And who knows how much time has passed. The torture, the mayhem. It's like you could scream, you could yell, you could do anything, but you never ever escape. And finally, somehow, you wash up to some shore. The ground is black, and there's a walkway that leads upwards. And it's full of bodies piled on top of each other, trying to get to the top step. And they again get pulled into the ground. So you try to make the steps, and it's like when you step, your legs get shorter, and they sink into the ground deeper and deeper at every step. You pull them out just to have them sink deeper than every step. So you can never reach the top of the steps, and there's a golden door. You never reach the door. You go deeper into the ground, and again you turn into solid. No, actually this time it's like your body is dead, but it feels like it's opened wounds everywhere, and you're hanging from different types of spikes and hooks, and there's blood everywhere, and there's body parts falling on your face and your head, and it's just disgusting. And eventually you just fall off the hooks, and you fall into a big pile of body parts, and you fall into it, and you sink down into it, and you stay there for a very, very long time. And at some point you wake up, and you're drowning in water. And you come up out of the water, and you try to take a breath, but you can't stay. You got weights attached to your feet, and it pulls you down. But somehow you manage to get just a breath, just for a second, and it pulls you under again. You take a deep mouthful of water, and it's like this process lasts for, it seems like, days, until you're completely exhausted, and you get pulled and you drowned into water. And just as and there's times where, but you're not dead, you're still alive, but you got this weight, and you're underneath the ocean, and you're trapped, and there's creatures here that will tear you apart, and the process repeats itself till eventually you're another step closer to the golden door. But just before you reach the golden door, it goes high, it literally just shoots up, and there's another 30 steps, another 30 forms of torture, horrifying torture, and they get more difficult with every step. You'll never be able to reach the golden door. You'll be trapped in this horrible place forever. And I see a laughter about what you're going through. And it's funny, it's wonderful. And you look down and it's like you look up and you see a spiral. You grab onto the spiral to try to pull yourself out. And it just pulls out like it's like literally roots of a tree that snap, and it's horrible stuff just falls all over you. And it starts to burn like acid. And you literally, your body just melts and while you're still alive. And you're like a pool of burnt body parts that is still living. This is like hell. This is what the first thing they show me. What is this difference between Satan and Lucifer? This is the first scene. It's hell, but it is simply just a black space, and you encase yourself into stone. But this is what the people in the stone are going through. But who is creating this? Is this Satan? Is this Lucifer? Or is it each individual soul that comes to this place? I see a being sitting on a throne. He's tapping his long fingernail on the stone of the throne. He feels there's an impatient about him. And he's got big, massive wings. But he does not have a goat head. He has the head of a man. Long black hair. But I see he does have goat feet. Like he's half human and half animal. With massive wings. Is this what you want him to look like? Is this what you want Satan to look like? And then he appears as a goat head with big, huge horns. Or is it maybe this, and he appears as a mountain of a man, of a being that's like 40, 50 feet tall, red with massive wings and huge horns. Is this more to your liking? Or he appears as a man with more like an angel with blonde hair, but he's wearing a white and gold robe. Or is this more to your liking? He goes through many different metamorphoses of different types of grotesque beings. Or is this, or is this, or is this, or is this to your liking? Is this what you expected? There's impatience about him. And an image of him tapping his finger on the throne comes back even louder. It's like a very, 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 very loud impatience. Like, what is taking so long? And he stands up and he yells at the top of his lungs, what is taking so long? And instantly when he says that, there's like acid comes from the ceiling and burns his body. And he just screams at the top of his lungs and he turns into a pile of liquid. And it goes down like a drain in the floor. And I follow this energy, and it goes through every stage that these souls in the floor are going through. Everything that they think, everything that they feel. He goes through it over and over and over and over and over and over again. He goes into every single one of the stages of every single soul that's down here. And it all goes through him. And I pan out and I see a deep root that goes all the way into the earth. And it's like as you go up, the root is black. But as you go down, the root is diseased horribly. And the deeper the root goes, the more diseased and disgusting it is. And I look up at the top, and there's like a really beautiful white light at the very, very, very top. But as you go down, it gets darker, more twisted, more diseased though. But the disease does not kill. It spreads disease. It gets more gross, more nasty, more disgusting as you go down. It's like a person that goes and rubs, well, they're saying no, don't use that term. He says a person that puts heroin in his arm for the first time is like the top of the tree root, the roots I should say. It's not a tree. It's roots of a tree, but it's not a root of a tree. It's a root of something else. At the top we haven't gone yet. But as you go down deeper, you see there's another needle, another needle, another needle, and you see that at some point his whole body's covered in needles. And then the rot begins. And the diseased and needles that are being put into burnt flesh and open wounds. And the deeper it goes, the more disgusting it is. And at the bottom, there's nothing but bones and ash. So it goes from the stage of simple needle in your arm, healthy looking person, to the point where the person is like a zombie. And then it gets worse, and it's like open wounds and flesh hanging out. And as farther you go down, it shows more and more and more of a dead body. Of at one point where it's just a skeleton, and then it turns to dust in a slow. But even this, they're saying even the skeleton has age. It starts to crack. It starts to decay in a way and break apart to the point where the bones just become dust. And at the very bottom, all there is dust. There's even stages in between where, like, it's just every stage of decomposition is here. But this is what it looks like. But if you touch it, you go into a very detailed scene, horrific scene, every along the way. It's horrific. At the very bottom, the dust, it fills your lungs. You can't breathe. it's like you're encased completely in stone, and all you can do is just see and feel, but you can't do anything. But every part of your body feels like it's part of something. And it's like simply being crushed by a huge rock and still feeling the pain continuously. So you think the dust would be a relief, but no, it's worse, because you can't speak, you can't hear, you can't see. All you can do is feel the pain of everything above it. You go up to the top. I go up to the top of the roots, and there's bright white light that shines down from really, really, really far up. And anybody that's down deep into the roots cannot see anything at all. There's nothing there except total darkness. It's when you get higher up is when you start to see the light. But it just looks like sunlight. You don't know what it is, so you just assume it's just the sun beaten down into this dark cavern. But the farther you go up, the light turns to white and gets really, 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 really bright. And you're standing in a cave, a cavern that's engulfed in angelic light. And there's angels in this room, light shining down from heaven. And there's a man that's is encased in stone. His flesh is burnt into the stone. And every time he moves, it rips and tears his flesh. Even if he doesn't move, the constant motion of the energy underneath still tears. And this layer is thin, but it is still there. But there's a massive, massive root system is what they're trying to get me to describe it as roots, but it's really not roots. It is part of his soul that is deep within the earth. Some of the most darker places you could imagine, full of horrors unimaginable. So what do you do about this? I've actually talked about this place before in other videos, but I've never really went down into the roots to see what was there. And you look deeper, you see the roots are full of souls. Trillions of souls in different stages all the way down. And they're intertwined and stuck in this space. This is Lucifer. This is his reality. But there's also an angel that appears, that stands at his feet. There's always angels around him. There's always golden light shining on him. And sometimes the room is full of angels giving him a light, because it's getting harder and harder for him to bear this. He's becoming impatient, is an understatement. Because the losing of the patience is wondering what is taking so long. How much time has to pass? The problem is that this is not getting any shorter. It is becoming more souls and not less souls. So there has to be more and more and more angels here to help balance his energy, to keep him from falling into darkness. So what happens if Lucifer falls completely into darkness? Then all is left is Satan. His light will be diminished. And then chaos will rule the earth. In a way, this is what they're saying. So Satan is the dark side of Lucifer. And there very much is a dark side of Lucifer that is very, very deep, disturbing as hell. But there's also a light side. It might not seem very thick, but it is everything from here and above. And his light shines right into heaven, and heaven's light shines right into him. And there is parts of Lucifer that stand with him, able to walk the earth. Because the more free he becomes, the more his soul is freed from this space. If simple one person prays to heal Lucifer, it sets a part of his soul free. It creates a situation where one of the souls would die to help release him, or the souls become released. It could be either one or the other, because it seems to me there's some parts of these souls that are so lost, they're so deep in decay, like the pile of dust. How many souls are there? They say there's a trillions of souls in the dust, but old ancient fragments of ourselves that have been so long into the darkness that they can never return. So they die, but they don't die. They stay in constant torment. So is there any way to release this? That's the question for everybody to think about for a second. So is there any way to heal the souls in the darkest places? They are dust. But dust is just another form of energy. Everything is made up of energy. So I'm going to go back down into this area, deep within the earth. The deepest part of this pit, the most deepest section of Lucifer's soul. You have to go through many, many, many layers of suffering of different forms to get to this point. And before you do, it becomes unbelievably silent for just a short time. There's a part down here that is completely silent. It's the part where the souls can no longer speak, but it's a form of suffering as well. To be tortured for so long and thinking that you're free, to have it that you're stuck in one place and you can't speak, you can't see, you can't hear. It's just absolute silence. At first it's a blessing, but then it becomes a curse. There's so many different forms of suffering. Every type of suffering you can imagine is here. Because we have imagined the suffering. We are the suffering. We are the cause of the suffering. We are the ones that create the suffering to ourselves, to other people. Lucifer, Satan, do not do that. That is a myth. A myth that is not true. And there'll be many people that will say otherwise. But I say you haven't really opened your eyes to the truth. You say that I don't see the truth, but I see the truth. I see my truth. And my truth is this: that religion has taught you to be afraid, to be fearful. The truth is that it was made to control people. The truth that's been in the Bible has been taken and twisted and manipulated to create fear, to create control over the masses. It has twisted things in such a manner that it has enslaved this angel to infinite suffering. So all the suffering that we create, he has to go through it. He feels it. He lives it. If our soul comes here, we might live through one, maybe a few, maybe many different layers. Maybe we also go through every single layer until we reach this spot. The spot of complete silence. And then it goes down even deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the bottom, where it's like disorientating. It's loud. It's the most unbelievable. It's like every part of every layer is screaming at the top of its lungs. It just the sound alone makes your soul bleed. It's even me standing here, it's creating my soul to bleed. The energy. So I have to shift it in a way that it doesn't affect me. But this is extremely difficult because it does affect you. It creates, and this is what, if you did not change your frequencies, you would bleed and become just a pile of, you would just bleed to the point where you would just turn into blood on the floor. That's how powerful this energy is. And the souls that are here are all mixed together. This is chaos. This is what chaos looks like. It's like all the dust of all the anguish and suffering of everything gets put into a pile of dust. how would you find the pieces? Because dust is so fine. It's like, it's not even, it's like salt is coarse. This is powder. But it's parts of souls that are all mixed together and screaming at the most unbelievable sound it creates. I can't even begin to connect too much to it because it becomes extremely overwhelming. So what do you do with this? Like, even my energy is being, best way to describe it, it's like it's trying to break apart because the screams are so loud. It's like it's trying to make my soul become just like this, powder on the floor. I actually balance my energy, shift it, so everything just passes through me. And I can finally just relax, because if you try to connect onto that energy, it's extremely difficult to even do anything, even think, even walk. And what's the point? You get trillions upon trillions upon trillions of soul fragments that are all twisted and merged together. This is what we have created. We, the human race, for all our anguish, or suffering, or killing, or murdering, or raping, or pillaging, torture. Everything that we have done is here. Eventually ends up in this pile of ash. These souls are very old as well, these fragments. They live through all the suffering, and each individual piece screams so loud about everything that it's been through, everything that it's experienced. There's not even any light left. There's no light here. So how do you save, or how do you help these souls? They are dust. I look deeper and deeper and deeper into this. There has to be something we can do to help these souls. But there isn't. It's getting very, very, very difficult to stay here. And they're telling me that there is nothing you can do. It's like trying to put a person back together when they're cremated. You will try. You'll put your hands and you'll be covered in dust of the bodies that used to be there. But how do you create a human being out of that? How do you do that? But then it's like they're saying, well, you take that, you cremate trillions of people and throw their ashes together, and now try to put the person back together. Trillions of like cremated bodies put in a pile. How do you possibly help them? I need to leave this place, and because it's like the more you're here, the louder it starts to become. And you get these pulsating waves of energy that hit you, and it's like it just ripples every part of your soul. And it wants to keep you here. So when you're going to leave, there's all kinds of things that are grasping for you, and I just allow them to pass through me. I go back up out of this space. I go back into the room, into the light. But every layer is becoming more distinct, more noticeable. So it's like going through one-dimensional space after another. So what seemed like a thin root is actually a whole world in itself, a whole dimensional space of torture, of suffering. And this is what we, as the human race, has created. And this is what Lucifer is here to do. He's containing this energy, keeping it in check. But you know as well as I do that that doesn't work forever, for eternity, without a massive amount of help. But how much longer does the suffering have to continue? How much longer do people have to realize that we are the cause of this? We are the cause of this. And this angel is stuck, living every terror that we could throw at him. For thousands upon thousands of years, he's been suffering. And we have the audacity to say that he's the one that is causing us to do evil things. They show me a man that has a knife. He takes that knife and murders his wife. Lucifer made me do it. Satan made me do it. And he goes on to kill his children. Whose fault is that? Is it Lucifer or the man? It's just a very simple thing to think about. But it's the example they wanted me to show you. You got a man that beats his wife, beats his children. Lucifer made me do it. Satan made me do it. But whose fault really is it? There's times where you see people being tortured simply because they don't believe in what I believe in. So I'm going to torture you over and over and over and over again until you say what I want you to say. The human race is so full of chaos right now. It's so full of people telling you what you can and cannot say, what you can and cannot do. But we already know deep down in our own souls what we can and cannot do. But we choose to ignore that, to push it deep down inside, to make excuses why we do the things we do. And I see another vision of a man that is puking up bugs. And he can never stop throwing these bugs up. And then another man eating them repeatedly. And they're being fed back into the man that's throwing them up. And more souls eat the bugs and make the man throw up. And the man never can stop throwing up insects because everybody keeps feeding them back into him. So he's trapped in a constant never able to stop, because the more he throws up, the more people come and eat the insects and feed it back into him over and over and over again. Then it goes back. There's a very weird sound. And Lucifer's soul turns black. The last part of his light goes dim. And there's parts of his soul that are pulled instantly into heaven. But this soul turns black. The main part of Lucifer is now black. That used to be white. They show me that this whole foundation cracks, falls to the ground, and every soul that he has contained is released onto the earth. That is what will happen if Lucifer loses the battle. If we continue to feed darkness into him, the battle will end with all the souls being released, and every single one of those, even the dust itself, would kind of cover the world. And the screams and the torture, you could say that it's like an Armageddon in a way. That all the souls would be released, all the dead would be released back into the earth. But it's not the dead of the light they're talking about. It's the dead of the dark, twisted aspects of ourselves. And it will devour the earth in a very, very short period of time. And the suffering will now be all over the world. And the planet itself will turn black and red. The oceans will die. Everything will die. And then there will be just a world with dust and nothing else. That's how they want me to end it, with the imagery. The understanding. So that's what I got. It's going to take a bit to disconnect from this. It's exhausting, actually. So what do you make of all that? It's amazing. It's the people that call themselves enlightened, and I'm not saying in the sense of less like people that like would be like religious people, fanatics, will condemn this video about it's lies, it's the untruth, it's not real. Well, this is my understanding and what they've showed me and what I've shown you. And you can take your own interpretation of this and do with it what you want. It's interesting, it's the first time they showed me a chaos in that way. And he's able to contain it for now with the help of heaven and many, many angels. So, if you want to say about Satan, Satan is a dark side of Lucifer. And it's one messed up place. And he's one messed up being. But if you go into the light side of Lucifer, he is unbelievably bright. There already is parts of himself that have been removed from that slab. That people have gone and healed him. They've even showed me the parts that I have done to help him. That every time we help him, there's a part of his soul that is freed from that torture that we have created. And it's very, very clear that we have created this suffering. That parts of ourselves that have broken and did horrible things, and us not dealing with it, us continually to blame others, will eventually be the downfall of everything. If we allow it to. If we still become cowards and still are full of fear. There's no way for me to truly describe what it is that I feel and see. When you go to those places. I wish you could. I wish everybody could watch this video and understand the importance of healing yourself, the importance of healing others, the importance of helping one another, working together. Lucifer isn't doing this alone. He has a ton of people helping him. But there's a part, the main part of his soul is losing the battle. When that happens, hopefully it never happens. There is an overwhelming change. He becomes black. All the angels leave almost instantly because the energy that is created there is so toxic. And all those souls that he contains are released onto the earth. That's if, though. There is still a capability of helping to heal. Well, there's one thing to understand, that chaos can only be contained. It cannot be switched. You have to go as an individual to take your own soul fragments back. To take yourself out of chaos. And that scares the shit out of most people. I'm not talking about soul retrieval is possible up to almost every layer except that one. They're telling me that the souls in that space or like almost lost in a way. So that's why chaos energy can only be contained and not transformed. And the only way I'm just kind of connected to this, and because this has always been a study of mine in a way, not necessarily a fascination so much as an understanding of chaos energy, because it's such a difficult thing, and I really feel for people that go through it, because when chaos energy it comes into your life, it can become so real. It takes everything you can to overcome it. And some people never do. They get lost into it, never to be able to get themselves free. Sanakina Masorayani. It's almost like chaos likes to make chaos so it can get stronger and stronger and stronger, devour more and more and more. They're saying the only way to really counteract it is to take away all the things above it. And when you do that, it's like Lucifer gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and his light starts to reach the chaos energy. And there is tiny, 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 tiny specks of light in each individual piece of the soul. But it only can be changed, transformed when all the energy above it is gone. In the meantime, all we can do is put it in a box, so to speak. And that's why they call it a source energy. Like love is a source energy and chaos is like complete opposite of it. Because is there any possible way to remove everything above it? It is really difficult. But if it was possible, they show me that Lucifer's light would reach that space. And if it reaches that space, all the souls of chaos will be freed. And they show me all the pieces will find each other, all the soul fragments will find who they belong to. That's why soul retrieval is so important. Because the more we find ourselves in these dark places, the more lighter and the more brighter Lucifer light will become. And the deeper it will go down. I see the two sides of this. If we're able to clear the stages, the dimensional spaces, the light in Lucifer gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and if it reaches the chaos energy, it ignites the dust, so to speak, and to become attracted to its original parts, and then they're freed. And released. And there's a stillness And there's a light that goes from one end of the universe to another. And then there's doorways open up everywhere. And then it becomes one doorway. And there's a ridiculously bright light that appears. It shows us the way home. The true home. Our true home. So it is possible. And it shows that the more we heal Lucifer, the brighter he becomes. So he's able to start to take down each layer as well. It's interesting that the one person we condemn is the savior of the human race. If we'll just allow him to do his job, and we do our own jobs by becoming better people, working on ourselves, healing ourselves. But what a horrible thing to say. But it's okay for thousands of years. Religion killed innocent people by the thousands, by the millions, in the name of God. A God that was supposed to be feared instead of loved. So if God is love, how is fear part of that? I don't believe souls are beyond redemption. I go in and heal souls all the time in these dark places that are lost. And it's the most beautiful things to experience. The rebirth of those souls. It's the absolutely most beautiful thing you can experience. It's really difficult to believe the things that are written in a way that condemn and people in a life of fear, servitude, controlled, obedient. Sounds like slavery to me. So what's really, it's almost like if you look at the reality of it, is that the God in the Bible is Lucifer, dark side, Satan, and that the Savior is Lucifer. It's like it's reversed. And don't get me wrong, this is just something that's coming to me now. And it's what is what they want to say, but people are going to say, well, it's all coming from lies. It's Lucifer, and so it's all lies. Doesn't feel like lies to me, though. What feels like lies is the people that's killed millions of people in their name. And you could say, well, Satan, oh, they made me do this and made me do that. We do it to ourselves all the time. And the human race did kill for thousands of years. They've killed in the name of this, in the name of that. It's interesting, though, that this subject is so old. There's always an evil part in this story. But sometimes you start to understand that the evil people aren't evil at all. It's the people that are full of fear that condemn them and show them that they're evil in history. How many times in history has a man, a beautiful man or woman that was full of light, that was condemned to death because it was against what people believed at the time? Look at Jesus Christ, Son of God. Let's just put him in a stake. Let's crucify him. Because he didn't believe, the people at the time didn't believe in what he was saying. The people in charge, there was a lot of people that did. It doesn't matter if he actually walked the earth or not. The stories say a lot. People don't want Savior and love. They want chaos, continued chaos. Why is that? You have to ask yourself that, why the human race continues to want chaos. Because it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to, it's like, it's want to stay here. It's grasping for dear life to not be removed. It wants to continue to exist, but the problem is it's so messed up that it doesn't even know what it wants anymore. So it's almost like that energy is ruling the earth, and we're allowing it to. The human race is the only one that can save themselves. They have to choose to. There may be someday another savior coming. We'll just put him in a stake as well. It would be like an alien race that come here that's totally loving. We'll just kill them anyway. Because they're different. They go against what we believe in. They go against our beliefs, so let's kill them. This is a human race. This is us. This is like, we're broken. The human race is broken. It needs to get healed, needs to be brought back together again. And people need to work on this. They need to take it very seriously. You don't have to believe in Lucifer. You don't have to believe in Satan. You can believe in Jesus, but believe in the love aspect of Jesus. Not the condemning, judgmental part of that, what somehow people have turned it into. Don't condemn people because they believe in something different. What if what I said is 100% the truth? People will be like, no, that can't be real, that can't be the truth. What if it was? And this comes from the spirit world. This comes from that journey that I was asked to look into. And I have asked all the angels to guide me on this. I asked the Creator, I asked Jesus, I asked my guides, ancestors, all of them, to guide me on that message. And that's what came through. Can you really deny? Like, it's really, you have to really question everything. You have to look at this and say, wait a second here. Is there any truth to this? And I've weighed this heavily. I was raised Catholic. I have a lot of beliefs based around everything I experienced in my life. And people say, have you read the Bible? Yes, I've read it. But I don't believe in fear as a teaching tool. I don't believe that loving beings want you to be afraid. The journeys I do into Jesus are absolutely amazing. To the Creator. The only time I experience the energy of fear is when you go into darkness. The dark parts of your soul, the broken parts of your soul. So when you look at it in a logical way, fear comes from the darkness. So what once possibly was stories, the Bible, was meant to be good, has been twisted into something that isn't. So it's not run by God anymore. So who is running it? I want, if anything comes out of this, I want people to seriously think about everything. Question everything. But don't dwell on this topic to the point where you're going to blow your mind up. But seriously think about life, the direction of the human race. What is wrong with peace? It would be boring. That's all you hear all the time. Well, I don't think it would be. I think it'd be paradise. It wouldn't be boring. You'd be able to do the things that you've always wanted to do. You would be challenged to better yourself, to do the things that you're born to do, and not forced into because you have no choice, because you don't have enough money to pay your bills. How many people don't have enough money to pay their bills, so they're forced to do a job that they hate? How do we fix our problems? Work together as one family, as one race. Because really we are one race, one human race. Isn't it nice when you say human race? There's no distinction to that word, human race. It's simply just a race of beings on the planet. Now, if you look at alien beings that come to the earth, do you think they're going to sit there and go, there's blacks, there's whites, there's Hispanics? No, they're not. They're going to call us a race of people. You could say that we're Terrans, for instance. So why are we so hung up on race, on religion, when simply all we have to do is work together as one human race to benefit everyone? Why is that so hard? Because if we do, we will be able to truly go home. What happens, and I've seen this before, that we're stuck in a loop, and the only way to get through the loop is to work together. But we can never work together, so we stay in this illusion. And even everything, even when we die, because it's all energy, we're still energy now, we're energy when we die, that we're stuck in this loop until we learn to work together as one. And when we do that, that's going to help heal the past. And we're finally able to go back home. And maybe that's kind of another way of looking at the whole thing. That we're like Lucifer, we're stuck here And you say that to people, they would be like, oh my God, they're panicking, they're panicking, they're panicking. No, I just want to leave. I never want to come back. But it's also part of the problem. Because if we all want to just leave, it's not going to solve anything either. We have to just keep trying to work together. That's pretty damn hard, though. The world is set up that we can't work together the way we should. So we need to change it. And the only people that can do that is me and you. The world. Stop being so hung up on what a color somebody is. What they believe, where they're from. It's what you do that's important. There's beautiful minds all over the world. There's beautiful souls. There's beautiful people. But it seems like when we talk about subjects like this, it becomes very quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter. Because nobody has the patience to listen anymore. Thank you very much, everyone. And the ones that made it to the end, congratulations. Thank you for listening. And please like and subscribe to my channel. Make some comments. I would like to see more comments about ideas of what I can channel, what I can talk about. This is one of the longest videos I did in a long time. And if you wish to do a session with me in one-on-one, you can visit my website at amonrossawakening.com. And if you wish to look at some beautiful Northern Light pictures, it's Joseph Bradley Auroras or hiddenaurora-spirits.com, which are mirror images of my Northern Lights that look pretty damn cool. Again, thank you very much, and please like and subscribe to my channel, which I don't say very often, but I should, I guess. Because the more people I can reach, the more people will start to question things. I don't want you to necessarily believe in everything I say. What I want you to believe is what you feel is right in your heart and not what you just hear and what people tell you. I want you to think for yourselves. Have a great day. Take care.